Yuri. Yuri. What are you up to, man? Yuri. Is this how we're starting live streams nowadays, guys? Yuri. Welcome, everyone. Good to have you here. Yuri, thanks for the 5. Gifted straight from the Batman. Cheers, eh? Thanks for supporting the community and of course the channel, but nice to see the community getting some gifts here. So thanks, man, appreciate it. Bon, Sanat, Trevor, and Aladdin, make sure to fill in the form that is probably going to be posted in the chat in a second. If not, I got it. 1 second here. Membership form. Copy link. Boom, 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 bam. So make sure to fill in this form and select. I think bronze gifted is now actually a thing we added. So just select that, and we will bump you up to silver. So you at least have something, because bronze is just support, but silver is a shorter term update. So thanks, Yuri, straight off the bat, man. Appreciate it, man. Also a member of the channel himself. Cheers, Yuri. Yuri Simek. But yeah, welcome everyone. Good to have you here. Bon, you were gray here with your name, but now you're green, man. Markets Mike, new trading strat video looks sick. I hope you like it. I hope you like it. It has been actually some very nice trading since the high is made with regards to that strat. Saraga, welcome. Good to have you here as well. Mark, maybe a band-aid. Kevin, Ali, welcome, man. Welcome, 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 everyone. Harut, starting the love with some bearish CVD. Yep, and an 886 touch on the 15-minute time frame locally. Aaron Thomas, welcome. So again, Bon, Sanat, Trevor, Aladdin, make sure to send me or make sure to fill in the form. And then we're going to bump you up to silver. Obelix, welcome. Odin, what's up, man? Ombat, Sibel. Yo, Sibel, you know what I did last weekend? So I was at Formula 1, but I actually played the songs you made to my dad. I mean, Ashley already heard them once before, but my dad had a good listen as well. Yeah, he loved it. It was fun. It was really cool. Yuri Costa, welcome. Bogdan, good to have you here as well. Yanis, Fozzy, Rosie, what's up, guys? Rudy from Thailand, this time from the touristic center of Patong. One has to relax somehow, sometime, right? Absolutely, absolutely. Make sure to also, I guess, have a little bit of time off from the charts. You know, they will be there when you come back as well. Greetings to Dad. Yeah, he ain't here anymore. Wait, I'm gonna screenshot this. Greetings to Dad. 1 second. 1 second. I'm gonna actually put this on WhatsApp now. Starting WhatsApp on my browser. Yoel, Matt, Average Kiddo, Bella, welcome. Welcome. Happy to be back. Oh, the chats are being loaded. Oh, it might take a little while. 10%, 14, 18, 21. But random name, welcome, Kai. Good to have you here, guys. So what we're going to do in this live stream, first of all, it's not going to be a long live stream because I actually forgot that I have a 1.5 hour meeting coming up from 3 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. And I didn't want to go live after 4:30 because that would be very late for a live stream. And then the video, the evening update will be online very soon after. So therefore, I want to go live before the meeting that I have. And it is a board meeting with the Global Esports Federation. I'm a board member. So we have a meeting coming up. Now, let me actually send this to my dad. 1 second. I'm going to send the message of Sibel, screenshotted, to my dad. And what we're going to do in the time we do have together is, of course, Elliott wave analysis. Now, probabilities locally, by the way, are higher to still take the low. FYI, we have an 886 touch and bearish CVDs. Okay, there we go. I wrote a message to my dad. MT, welcome. So yeah, that's what we're going to do. We're going to analyze Elliott waves, 4-hour time frame. That is the most interesting time frame. And also shortly cover what happened on Friday. Because of course on Friday we finally got the push. But I was at the Formula One race in Zandvoort. So I did not and I didn't have my laptop with me, so I couldn't make content on Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. But we are back now. So it's going to be a short stream, but no worries. Also, we did not do a Sunday altcoin stream, but I'm planning to do altcoins tomorrow. I still have to write a message about it, so I'm planning to do that tomorrow. So yeah, and also upcoming weekend, by the way. Here you go. You go from never ever been to a Formula One race to potentially going twice, because I got invited to Monza, and I will then take my laptop so that I can make at least an update a day, probably live streams, because I don't want to have 2 weekends without providing any content. So yeah, I'll probably be in Monza as well this weekend. More info to come. But yeah, I'll make sure to bring my laptop, my microphone and everything, and I will make content. It will just be a little less compared to 3 times a day, because you know I might be at the race. Boring F1 race, yeah, there wasn't too much happening. Gotta be honest. Agreed. Okay, so let us start. We're gonna focus on this range over here. Again, we have 25 minutes together before I got to go in the meeting. That's more than enough, and also some chatting and Q&A. Now, of course, I don't know, since price moved up here and touched the 618 taken from the high to the low, we've been talking about the probabilities being higher to take the high. Now, for the people that were here already or joined in the past week, 2 weeks, you will know that we've been talking about price taking out this high at 63K for a very long time. At least it felt like a very long time. But I'm happy that we eventually took the high, because it changes the chart a bit. You know, we got some new interesting stuff to talk about. The probabilities, of course, were so much higher to take out this high due to the 3-wave nature down. I already covered there were no clear impulsive structures to the downside or diagonals, because it's expanding, which is very rare. We had price moving up, bullish CVDs just kept coming, more bullish, eventually taking out the high with the push on a Friday. Bit unfortunate that pretty much since the 12th of August, we spoke about probabilities are higher to take the high, and then when it actually happens, I'm not making content because my ass is in the Netherlands instead of behind my my PC, my laptop. But that's the way it is. We got to move to the upside, and voila, we hit resistance. Right, we moved up in a straight line, and where do we stop? The target box, the first area of resistance that we had on our chart. This area here, 64.6, 65.3K, included a weekly naked point of control, and that is the one that we hit at the lower part of the box. Move towards the downside. Now, it is common when you make a high to wick that high at a later stage. Something that I don't know where I learned it, but it's always been something I kept in mind. The first low is never the low. The first high is never the high. It's just something I don't know. It's stuck with me already for a very long time. And we make a high after a higher volume push to the upside, right? If we check the volume, you can clearly see that the volume moved to the upside with price moving up. So the highest amount of volume was in the recent move up. And therefore, naturally, preferably, this is labeled as a wave 3 in either a wave C or a wave Y or an impulse. But the probabilities are higher to look for a 4 and a 5 to at least wick that high one more time. Besides the quote that I mentioned, which is the first low is never the low, the first high is never the high. Right? It's just it's like a typical thing. Arguably, the same happened over here, right? Of course, you can also say, oh, we had the same happening over here. Yeah, it's interesting. It's interesting. I mean, oh, you know what I mean. But locally, very, very nice. Now, at the moment, let's start with the low time frame stuff, and then we zoom out. On the 15-minute time frame, after that high has been wicked, price is moving towards the downside. And we changed structure, right? Took the lows, and we have consistent bearish CVD divergences ever since. So far, price has only been forming bearish CVDs. Let's go to the 15, by the way, not the 3. Up, up, up. So bearish CVD divergences here played out. Bearish CVDs over here also played out. And now locally, price has some more bearish CVDs. Now, there will be a time when eventually you're going to either invalidate them or you're going to switch to bullish CVDs. But in that case, to invalidate these, you need to take the high at pretty much 63K. So price would need to move towards the upside, take the high at 63 to invalidate this local bearish CVD. And have the opportunity to move to the newer area of resistance we have on the chart here. 63.7, 64.3K, support below 60.3 to 60.8. Now locally we hit the 886. If I take a fib from the low to the high, you can see the 886 has been touched. That increases the probabilities for price to still take out the local low. So the probabilities are higher locally to still see price moving down and taking out that low. Same was true in the morning update when we were here. Probability is higher to take the low. Price moved down. We took the low, right? So very, very nice together with the bearish CVDs. Now, if we then go to the 4-hour time frame and we look at the Elliott wave scenarios, there's a few scenarios we have to keep in mind. And because we are having a live stream, right? And I can chat to you guys and you can chat back. It's interesting to discuss a few things that I can't generally do in video content because I like to keep it short and sweet. Now, of course, the most interesting bullish scenario would be by now, right? After we took the high, a potential diagonal. It's not too early. I mean, in this case, we would be working on the wave 4. Generally, I only like to cover diagonals once you're working or close to finishing wave 4s. We do have overlap here between a 1 and a 4, so this is why it is interesting to talk about it, right? The green line overlap between 1 and 4, something you like to see in diagonals. Now, it is good to know that a leading diagonal is more rare than an ending diagonal, and multi-1-2s are more common than a leading diagonal, right? So you might actually want to go back 10 seconds and hear that again. It doesn't mean that a leading diagonal here is not a possible scenario, but in general, diagonals are not actually that common. So it is something I keep in mind. And yes, preferably we are then working on a wave 4, but it's not yet finished, and it is still a little early to really deep dive into diagonals. But it is definitely a scenario we have to keep in mind, and that is the only thing that we can do, of course, as analysts and traders, is to be prepared and trade accordingly. Risk management, in other words. So what we're looking for here is a 5-wave, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-wave structure, contracting leading a diagonal. As this is then labeled a wave 1, look for 2 and continuation to the upside. This is, of course, your bullish scenario. We also have a bearish scenario, right? So in this case, we have overlap between 1 and 4. That's what we like to see. Preferably wave 4 dips down to 61.6K to 60.5K, which is in confluence with the support that I mentioned just now, right? The blue box over here around 60.6K. And we preferably hold that support, right? If we do move below this support over here around 60.6, the probabilities start to slowly go down for a diagonal. Now, one of the things that invalidates a diagonal before actually reaching the invalidation line would be for price to move to the lower trend line here, which is currently positioned at about 57, 58, let's say 58K, a round number, right? So if price moves down to 58.0, right? the contracting diagonal is invalidated. And then you have to think about expanding diagonals, but an expanding diagonal is very rare and never preferred unless all the other stuff fails. So in other words, not good, right? That's not something you want to see in this particular bullish scenario. Now, a second thing that I mentioned in the morning update, which was mentioned very shortly, but it's actually a really important sentence in my morning update. It's literally a sentence of, I think, 3 seconds, but arguably it's the most important sentence mentioned in this scenario. Wave 4 has to be a 3-wave structure. What I said is if we get a straight line down, we have to be aware, right, of potential continuation as well, because wave 4 has to be a zigzag structure, double zigzag or simple zigzag, ABC, WXY, WXY, doesn't matter. But preferably we are looking for a 3-wave, A, B, and a wave C to the downside to hit this support, right? And if we zoom in to the local market structure, can we count this move to the downside as a 3-wave structure? Well, in that case, I actually have to go to the 15. In that case, you would then somehow need to label this your A, your B, and now working on a bigger C, right? So you have some sort of a diagonal, whatever, in your A. Not even sure if it works. I haven't checked this in detail. 886 probabilities and the bearish CVD probabilities played out locally, by the way. So that is very nice during the video. We love to see it. So clearly, if this is 1, 2, 3, 3 is shorter than wave 1. And if we then do this and then this and then this, then wave 5 is shorter than wave 3. So there's at least a possibility. But this is then somehow, it's your ABC, a very quick glance. So you would need to have some sort of a diagonal 3-wave running flat structure and then A, B, and then or a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish your wave C. Of course, preferably you build more clear structures than just what looks like a straight line towards the downside. Just look at the previous structures as well, right? Up, down, up, right? Down, up, down, right? Now this, of course, right? Up, range, up, but you get the idea. So in this wave 4, if we want to look for this diagonal, preferably we get a bit of a clearer structure and also not too short in time compared to your wave 2. So it would also be nicer if this wave 4 is a little bit longer in time, extends itself before then looking for your 5 to the upside, which by itself should be a 3-wave structure. Now after 5 and 1, we look for a 2, preferably a deep wave 2. And that is because after a diagonal, most commonly you want a deep retracement. So a golden pocket 786 is very attractive, moving down into the mid-lower 50s before then continuation up in a 3. What is also common is a throw over, wave 5 in white going above the 1-3 trend line, right? So fake out for the trend line traders. And it typically ends then on a high amount of volume if you do get a throw over. So be aware at least that if price does move up and moves up above this trend line here and volume is increasing, there's the potential for a fake out. So then again, risk management, right? Trade management, risk management. Very, very important. Okay. Finally, this is not yet relevant, but currently the invalidation for 5, if price would move down to 60.5K, the invalidation would be 69.4 for this scenario to the upside. Okay. Most bullish scenario. I just like to show it just so we keep in mind the invalidation. But this is, of course, looking for a 1, a 2, and then a multi 1, 2 again, 3, 4, 5, 4, 5, 4, 5. Like a couple of 4, 5s. The more 1, 2s you have, the more 4, 5s you have. Invalidation is this high. We got very close at the moment. This is your common target for 4, which is where we are. And then inside 3, you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 3 finish, look for 4, and then a move up in 5. But for that to happen, you of course need to see local signs of strength, which is absolutely not the case as we continuously hit 886s with bearish CVDs. So we need to change some local market structure, see some nice bullish CVDs coming in and whatnot for probabilities to increase, to move up, right? So this is not like my favorite scenario. Compared to a diagonal, which does look nicer, like look as in the ratios and just the general look. But a multi 1-2 is something we cannot forget as long as it is not invalidated. Of course, both of these lead to price at least taking out the high one more time, right? Before moving lower below the lows here at like 58.5, right? So that's the confluence between the two. In this scenario, you take the high once more above 65. In this scenario as well, you also take the high above 65. So in both cases, you would look for price to take the high and then we take it from there pretty much, right? Of course, the invalidation for this scenario is a lot closer, 61.4. So yeah. And then we have the bearish scenario, and that is your WXY. Now, this hasn't changed compared to last week, right? So in this particular scenario, you are looking for a 3-wave corrective structure and then eventually continuation down to take out the low. Right, and in that case, mid 45s would be like a minimum target down. We have some interesting support there as well. Now, wave Y hit the 0.618. Right, so what we are looking for here is then a double zigzag. We have a zigzag in W, double zigzag X, zigzag in wave Y, and then we hit the 0.618. Minimum target reached. However, the common target for Y is all the way up here, 69.8 to 73.1K. This is a very uncommon target for a wave Y, double zigzag. Generally in a double zigzag, wave Y is similar to wave W, which is not the case in price mainly. So it does lower the probabilities for a WXY here. And I do have other scenarios in my mind, but I also don't really want to necessarily like confuse too many people. But at least a WXY, preferably in a WXY case, time-wise, your Y is finished. If you compare the time of your W, I misclicked there, your W against your Y, you can see that wave Y is already longer than W, right? This high is made almost at the 3-fib time, meaning that your Y is almost 3 times longer than W. So preferably you're not looking at this, right? It's gonna take so long, it doesn't really make sense from a ratio perspective. I have seen scenarios online as well where people count this as 1, 2, 3, or A, B, C, or W, X, Y, doesn't matter. It's all the same structures. So what people look for is a move up, flat correction, continuation. The problem with this scenario, though, is time. So it doesn't matter how you count this. If you count this a wave A and then a wave B and then a wave C, or a wave 1, 2, 3, or whatever. If you take a fib time from the start to the end of your first move up, and then you double click, then you can see that this move down, which then still has to be developed, moving below 56.2. is going to easily finish after, well, it's already past the 5-fib time, but likely going to finish after the 6-fib time, if not the 7 or 8-fib time. In other words, this B, X, or 2 is going to be 6, 7, 8 times longer, if not more, compared to your wave A1W, which significantly lowers the probabilities for that to be correct. So in other words, if you do move down and take out the low, the probabilities increase for price to take 49K instead. Right? So for the bulls, taking this low would not be pretty unless, right? And that means if this high is in and you move down, unless of course you go for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 leading diagonal and then you move down. That's no problem. But what we're saying is for the bulls, you want to take this high before the low. If you take this low first, that's a problem. Right? That's a problem. Okay. So yeah, that is the general thing that we're looking for. Now, from a probabilities perspective, we have, no, this was this morning over here, right? One diagonal, WXY multi 1, 2. I am observing, however, this move down, bearish CVDs, 886s are touched all the time. Does this look like a wave 1, a 2 for then a multi 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and then eventually lift off? It's not a very nice wave 1. Looks of course more 3 wavy. but for a WXY, preferably your target is higher, right? Which we didn't reach. So therefore, the probabilities, arguably together with the two bullish scenarios, being a diagonal multi-1-2, or even in a WXY where this is your common target, probabilities would be higher to still take out the high here, right? Now, what I therefore would like to see is preferably price at some moment in time moving to support. We are now simply at support, resistance, flip potential area here, but this would be a more interesting area for me, to be honest. And thank you. And I look for signs of strength, which means stop with the bearish CVDs and start building structure up with bullish CVDs. Not change the structure, change the CVDs, flip some resistance into support, and attractive, right? Interesting for price to take that high. Alternatively, something that I also still have in mind, I only mentioned this, I think, a few weeks ago for the first time, but that would be for this to turn into some sort of a triangle. A, B, C, D, E, and then you move up. But it's way too early to talk about triangles because you're only in a B and you still need a C and a D, and only then becomes interesting, right? So yeah, it's not really worth it. I also have seen the bearish daily scenarios, and of course we covered some of them as well, being a 1, 2, 1, 2, 3 down. This is of course your most bearish scenario, where this is a three-way structure. You look for price to move down. If price does hit 67.6, probability significantly reduced. They're already low because price did touch the 886 here, which is rare for 2, right? So the probabilities for this most bearish scenario are on the daily simply lower. For more bullish scenarios where you look for ABC finished, and if you do move down once more, let it be a WXY, but not a 1, 2, 1, 2, and 15K, there we come. There we come. Or here we come. So, yeah. Actually, Mr. Brownbug, the most amount of views I ever had during a live stream was during the big dump on the 3rd of January. 500-600 views. That was insane. Also, as predicted. So, yeah, that was nice. But also this push, of course. We were waiting for this push for so long. Like, I swear, if you've been on the wrong side of this push to the upside, you really got to revisit, like, stop trading. Just revisit the theory, revisit building a strategy, building a plan, having patience. But of course, like from an Elliott wave perspective, there was absolutely zero reason to be short. This is, by the way, 0.0. No alcohol. So, yeah, this is currently what's up. We hit resistance, solid move to the downside, preferably looking still for a little bit lower, but I would like to see a bigger three-wave structure. So a bit of a ranging week after the push at the end of last week would actually be nice. We do have some news on Thursday and then on Friday as well. That should be an interesting day, holy moly. So, yeah, what to say, with the current information that we have, the probabilities are higher to still look for price to take out that high. But on a more local time frame, I preferably see a bit of a bigger structure, hit resistance, hit support, observe the reaction at both of these areas. At support, I want to see higher highs, higher lows, right? Bullish CVDs, flip some levels, and then very, very interesting to look up. This for me feels a little random. Besides being a support resistance flip, I don't really have a lot of other stuff going on here. Besides, we do have resistance here, so that can be interesting as well. If we do have resistance, move down, more bearish CVDs, then support. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if we get more of a horizontal week again. Hopefully not as long as we did here. Preferably it doesn't. But it would be great to see a bit of a more solid structure instead of the straight line down, right? If you do get a straight line down, there is the potential of continuation due to possibly then 1 2s, 1 2 1 2 1 2, and then you get a bigger 3 down. So in other words, if price does this area here becomes very important, right? Like and patience and risk management become more important. If this becomes a 3-wave structure, of course you need patience and risk management, but this would be nicer for the bulls than seeing a straight line down. If we do get a straight line down, then here, from an Elliott wave perspective, right, potential awareness of continuation, impulse, which means waiting here and being patient and looking for signs of strength will be very important. That being said, I do know I barely chatted with you guys, but I have a board meeting coming up in literally 1 minute and 20 seconds. So I need to get into that board meeting. I'm a board member of the Global Esports Federation. We have a meeting for 1.5 hours. So I can't really engage much with you guys. Yuri, again, of course, thanks again. But yeah, thanks guys for being here. And I just scroll through the chatting here. Okay, not too much going on anyway, so that's good. How big are my lines? This is currently what's happening around my price. I have nothing going on here. So that being said, I gotta go, guys. I gotta go. I know I got a board meeting coming up, and it of course it sounds big, but at the same time, it is an organization with over 150 member organizations that we have and partnerships with global companies. So my ass, I got to be there. So thanks everyone for being here. Stay in touch. If you have questions, comment below or in Discord or in Telegram, just tag me. I'll make sure to check the questions out after the meeting I have with the board. So I will see you morning or evening update later, and tomorrow another live stream where we are also going to include some alts.